This is the Honest Fit Life. But before we get into all that, wanted to give you full disclosure that we are not fitness trainers, doctors, or healthcare professionals. We are just everyday regular people that are sharing what has worked for us, and what has worked for us may not work for you. This is not meant to be a guide for weight loss or fitness training, just our experiences. So before beginning any weight loss program or fitness training, consult your doctor or healthcare provider. All right, everybody, I am David, and I am here with my wife, Mandy,
Hi, everyone.
and our son, Gabe.
Hello, everyone.
And we wanted to give you kind of an introduction to us and why we're doing this podcast and what it's all about. So, we believe in holistic health and living a clean, healthy life. It wasn't always that way, and we'll get into our background and explain some of the things we were doing and why they weren't working for us. But we wanted to give you an honest look, and this is just our opinion. Like I said in the opener, it is not a professional opinion. It's just something that we've learned as we've gone through this. And it just, if we could help you guys out and explain some of the struggles we've had and what's worked for us and what hasn't. And if it does you any good, that's great. That's why we're doing this. So we're going to start with getting into our background and introducing ourselves to you and kind of the process that we've gone through to get where we are now. So, Gabe, do you want to explain kind of your story? And because you kind of kicked us off with this.
Yeah. My name is Gabe, of course, and I'm 17. And yeah, I started it kind of around when I was maybe like 14 or something like that. I was pretty young. And it kind of just started out like I couldn't do like a simple push up or whatever, and I just like wanted to have like a smoothie or whatever, and that and things like that, and like eat a little bit healthier and like work out and kind of like get stronger, I guess. That was like kind of like my main focus. And then that kind of like took off, and I started like finding videos or whatever about kind of just like workouts at home, and I was kind of just doing more like a calisthenics type of thing. We were just doing different types of push-ups, and we had like weights at our house, and I was just like lifting those, just doing like very simple things and like basic like movements and stuff. And I wasn't doing any like complex stuff, and I didn't really know too much about like dieting and like what to eat to like gain muscle or like lose weight. I was just like doing whatever I kind of knew and saw. And eventually, I guess like after I don't know, like 5 months or a year or something, I mentioned to my mom about it, and then eventually she got into it more. And that's when I kind of started doing more of a diet. And that didn't really work out because we weren't eating that much, and at the time I didn't know that I wasn't eating enough or whatever and getting like my calories in, and so I lost a bunch of weight when I was like 15 or something like that. And I was like, I feel like almost anorexic, but at the time I like thought I was fit and I was like strong or whatever, even though I wasn't. But I think when a little bit after that, or whatever, maybe like a year, I got like a pull-up bar or whatever. And that's when things started like taking off, and I got like weights for like Christmas or something like that. And they're like heavier. And that's when things started really going up. Basically, I started gaining more strength. And I started eating more and things like that. But I guess that's like sort of like the basic stuff, and I guess like why I wanted to do this was just to like be fit, like feel good, whatever, like daily, and be able to do things. And I liked like physique, like wise, like looking good. Um, and I just wanted to like focus on, I guess, like at home workouts with like calisthenics, like doing more pull-ups or push-ups, or curling more weight or pressing more weight or like something like that. And that's kind of like why I wanted to do it, and like why I wanted to eat healthy and stuff like that.
So, didn't you kind of start this idea? You had a class in high school, though, didn't you? Like your
Yeah,
sophomore year?
Like freshman year, I had like a weight training class, and that was pretty interesting. I didn't know like anything or whatever. Like I've been watching like videos more, I guess, because at that point I was watching videos. That was like my like second or third year or whatever, and so I knew like all the like movements, but I just didn't know the technique basically, and so I struggled in that, and but it did help out with my strength, and it was fun just like lifting like I guess like real weight with like a real bar and things like that, and not just doing at home workouts, but like lifting like actual weight. And I'm not saying that you can't get fit without doing like calisthenics work with pull-ups, push-ups, and different things like that, because people can, and I've seen people do that. But for me, it was fun like lifting weights and things like that, with doing bench and like squats and deadlifts and overhead presses and things like that, like more bodybuilding-ish sort of like compound movements. Um, and Yeah, I did that for freshman year. And then sophomore year, I did it as well, but at that point, COVID hit and went back to that at home workouts. But at that point, they were more intense because I knew more. And since I've been like working out at my school gym, it's like those workouts were more intense. So I kind of like brought that experience to my at home workouts. So my at home workouts were like more intense, basically. And I got pretty fit doing that. And I think at that point, we were eating healthy, so that helped out, with nutrition wise, actually like feeding my body. Um, and yeah, and then junior year, I'd have this is the year that I'm in right now. I am not doing it, but I do go to the gym now with my parents. So yeah.
Okay. And so Mandy, what was your story? Why did you kind of decide to take on this path? I mean, we did a whole life change. I mean, it was a 180-degree switch.
Yes. Yeah, it was a complete life change for me. I decided about 3.5 years ago to go on this journey. I wasn't liking my weight. I wasn't liking how I was feeling physically and mentally. Feeling just foggy all the time and gut issues and anxiety issues. And I started really looking into it and started working out at home. I did talk with Gabe a lot because I knew he was really into working out. He was taking weight classes and I saw the changes he was making. So I started working out at home. I started kind of going on just cutting little things out here and there, trying to eat what I thought was healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And to be quite frank, I'm 37 years old, and at the time I was deathly afraid of turning 40 and being completely out of shape, and I did not want to turn 40 with the way I was. So it really drove me for about the first year and a half or two. In the very beginning, there were days I didn't feel like working out, and Gabe would ask me if I'm working out that day, and I'm like, no. And he's like, I think you should. And there was times he worked out with me, so he was a big contributing factor in the beginning for me. And then I worked out at home quite a bit for about a year and a half. I really enjoyed it, especially through COVID and whatnot. I decided to get fit through that whole process of COVID. And then I started going to the gym about coming up to a year here in a couple months. And that's when it really changed for me, when I started going to the gym. That's when I really started noticing the biggest differences in my body physique.
Okay. We all have kind of different stories. So my story, I'm David. I'm 48 years old, and I was realizing a couple years ago that mentally I was starting to slow down. I started to feel kind of foggy all the time. And I just, I was putting on some weight. I mean, I was probably at that point 30 pounds overweight, maybe a little more. Diet was horrible. I didn't realize how much sugar I was taking in at that time. and what those kind of things can do to you. But I was just feeling slow. I was feeling physically slow, mentally slow, and it wasn't just because of my age. I mean, you can be a lot older than I am and be a lot sharper than I was, and I knew that that wasn't right. And through Mandy's research and what she discovered, there was a lot of stuff there that isn't talked about in mainstream nutrition or mainstream media. It doesn't fit the programs. It doesn't fit the weight loss stuff, all the big money that's behind all that. It's really a simple approach, and we basically looked at our sugar intake was the first thing we looked at, and all the health side effects from processed sugars. And so 2 years ago, we were out on the road coming back home, and we were talking about it, and I'm like, you know what? How about this? How about we cut out all sugar? And that's kind of where the journey started for me. And we can get into that later, but it was the first turning point when I started looking at the things I was putting into my body and what they were doing to me. My goals, I wanted to just feel better, have a little more energy at work, feel sharper again, mentally sharper, quicker on my feet, and not so sluggish all the time. And it was a hard decision to come to. I mean, I know Gabe was already kind of there at that point, already wanting to eat healthier. He was quiet about it, so I wasn't as aware of how much he really wanted to start eating healthy. And so when we came back and told him we were going to, basically throw away all the food we have, go to the store and buy completely different types of food that was cleaner and healthier, he was all on board with it.
I think he was actually excited.
Yeah, I was. I was like coming home back from school or whatever, and I like walked in the door and they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna eat basically like healthy now, and like we're gonna throw out all this sugar and stuff." And I was like, "Well, finally!" Like, I was like trying to find ways around, eating healthy and stuff, and it was always hard. And now like it's a lot easier with having like just people that like support it and that like they also want to eat healthy too, and that have like sort of like the same goals. So yeah.
So we'll give you kind of an idea of the types of food we had in our house. It was mostly stuff in a box. If it wasn't in a box or a can,
it was frozen.
Frozen stuff, pre-prepared stuff. I was completely unaware of the types of things that are in all these preservatives. High fructose corn syrup is the number one contributor to most of the things, and I was unaware of how much that is in the products that are all boxed and pre-prepared.
It was actually in breadcrumbs.
Yes. Yeah, like panko breadcrumbs.
Yes.
Down to the littlest thing. And so we took a hard look at that. I mean, obviously cutting out sugar. So for my lunch, I think on average I was taking in 80 grams of sugar just during lunch.
It was a lot.
I mean, I had at least one can of pop, animal cookies or whatever, frosted cookies,
fruit snacks,
all kinds of stuff. And we started looking at that. I'm like, whoa, that's definitely not a good thing to be taken in. Wasn't aware, and that was just lunch. And then dinner I'd have another pop sometimes or whatever. I mean, that was my thing. I love soda pop. Always have, and that was the hardest thing for me to give up when we cut sugar. I decided to go cold turkey. I just quit right then and there. When we came back, that was the last one I had.
We both did.
Yeah, on that trip.
Yeah, David and I did. Gabe, apparently he mentioned to us, he's like, yeah, I gave up sugar like a couple months ago. I mean, this is 2 years ago when we went cold turkey.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you for myself, I swore to myself my whole life, I will never give up sweets. I have the biggest sweet tooth ever. And I was like, I would rather be dead than give up sugar. And I did it.
You struggled a little bit, you got to be honest.
For the first,
you cheated quite a bit.
No, for the first couple weeks. I mean, just say this flat out now. I do have sugar now. But in the beginning, you got to look at it as like a detox. I didn't have sugar for 6 months straight. For the first 2 weeks, after the first 4 days, actually, of giving up sugar, it was really the most massive eye-opener. I, no joke, had withdrawals. I had cold sweats. I had the most massive headaches.
Mm-hmm.
I was like struggling mentally, and I'm like, this is scary.
Yeah, I did too.
It was scary, and I did eat a lot of fruit
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning.
Yeah, we bought a
Yeah.
lot of pineapples.
Lots of
Because they're inexpensive, you know,
Mhm.
because you have to look at it a budget cost wise of also what you're doing. It's, you know, as well, and being conscious of that. So we did buy a lot of fruit, and fruit can be expensive. Pineapple, bananas are really good.
Mhm.
Oranges are really good.
Those
Substitute
are all
for that.
pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, and they're pretty inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
So I ate a lot of fruit
Mm-hmm.
the first couple weeks.
Yeah.
So
I think we all did.
yeah.
I mean, like I said, Gabe, you were
Mm.
already kind of on that journey beforehand. We just weren't as aware of it.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really eating too much fruit wise because that wasn't really at our house, but I was like trying to like work towards, you know, like meats or like, you know, peanuts. Like I was like trying to like salvage like good fats and like proteins, and I mean we didn't have any like really vegetables or much either, and it was extremely hard like working around foods. I mean, even for like dinner wise, I couldn't really work around it because that's kind of like what we had. Like that's what they cooked, is, you know, those box foods and like, you know, those breadcrumbs and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, it was sort of easy for me to stop eating sugar, even though, like, I mean, I also have a sweet tooth. Like, of course, like I love eating like ice cream and candy and things like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
I also love eating just like chips. I like snacking and things like that, and that's not always the best thing to do. You can easily find healthy snack foods though as well. You can like make your own. But we can talk about that later. But yeah, it was quite easy, and I was more helping out my mom and like my dad with it, and yeah, it wasn't too bad, honestly. So.
Right. I mean, I didn't struggle as bad as Mom did or Mandy did with
Yeah.
the sugar. I mean, it was hard. I mean, I definitely had the headaches. I would say my withdrawal symptoms were as bad as yours, but it was tough. It was tough for the first week when I just wanted to have a pop and to switch over to water, you
Yeah.
know, and drinking water all the time. And I think I tried seltzer water. You know, I tried like a sip of
Yeah.
that. I'm like, nope, it's not the same. I can't do it.
Yeah.
You know, I'd
Yeah.
rather just drink water. And, you know, I learned to, you know, love those types of things by giving up the things that I was addicted to. You know, kind of realize that there's a lot of things that I can still love by just eating healthier. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Uh-huh,
and there's
yeah.
a lot of natural substitutes you can do that are good for you and still kind of reach the, you know, help with some of those cravings that you're going to have.
For sure.
You know, and I would say probably 6 months in, maybe a little longer, I really started craving sugar again. I mean, I kind of went through like ups and downs with it, where sometimes like, no, I'm good now, and then all of a sudden it's like, man, I really want, you know, a donut.
You
I mean,
didn't-
I love donuts.
Yeah. You didn't have sugar for a year.
Yeah, I stopped for an entire year and
Not-
was
yeah.
very rigid. I mean, I'm kind of an all or nothing kind of guy, and so for me, it's just I just say no and that's it. There's no going back. There's no in moderation, and it was about a year until I'm like, okay, I'll have a little bit of sugar to see, you know, how it affects me, you know, and can I control it? Because I kind of started feeling like my blood sugar levels were getting too low also.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I might not have been getting enough fruit or whatever, you know, and so I started feeling a little fatigued. So I allowed myself a little bit of sugar, and I'm talking like, you know, 5-10 grams and, you know, some kind of healthy protein bar or something. And that seemed to be fine. And yes, I have had a couple donuts over the last couple years.
Yeah.
I think I've probably had 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But you know, those were my go-to, you know, candy bars, you know, and donuts and pop. That was what I lived on. That's, you know, and I love snacking. I'm also very, you know, salty kind of person. I love my chips, my, you know, fried chips. You know,
Yeah.
we gave all that up, you know, and we had, I mean, I want to say before that trip, we probably went out and spent several $100s on groceries.
Yeah.
And literally came back and like, we're not touching them. And they sat there forever and ever and ever.
Well, those groceries, we went out and tried to buy what we thought were healthy things.
They weren't though. I mean,
Yeah,
you
they
know,
weren't.
when we
And
started
they
looking at
weren't.
the ingredients, And so that left
No.
us with kind of a tough choice. You know, what do we do now? You
Yep.
know, I'm not a chef. None of us are. The best way that we discovered, instead of buying something that's pre-prepared because it has so much stuff in it that's not good for you, is you need to take basic ingredients and start combining them yourself. And that's kind of what we did.
Yeah.
I became the chef of the house.
And let me
And-
tell you, he's amazing.
It was just sheer dumb luck, to be honest. It just happened to work out. Some stuff didn't.
Yeah.
Some of the things I tried, and I wasn't going off recipes or anything, which would have probably been a smarter thing to do. But I was just winging it. I'm like, okay, I watch enough cooking channel stuff that it looks somewhat simple and easy, so I'll give that a shot. Some of it worked out really well, and
Yes.
it was a lot healthier. It was a lot cleaner. Everything was fresh. Everything honestly tasted better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that was the other thing I realized is when you're cooking this way, how much better food actually tastes. And the other thing that I noticed really quick was after you're done eating, I didn't feel sluggish anymore.
Yes.
I didn't feel heavy. I didn't feel sleepy. I actually felt good.
Yeah.
After dinner, sit
Yeah.
down. I'm like, dinner's not sitting like a ton of bricks in my stomach.
Yeah, that's a huge eye opener as well. It's like after you eat, everybody's so used to after you eat dinner or food, you want to sit.
Mm-hmm.
You feel sluggish. You feel like
Mhm.
it's just taking all your energy to process your food. That right there is a bad sign.
Right.
Your food is fuel. You should eat and feel good. Because if the harder it is to process from all the preservatives, from all the stuff in it that's not good for you, it's taking your body it's a lot harder on your body to process,
Mm-hmm.
making you sluggish, making you want to fall asleep.
Right.
And it shouldn't do that. And I notice that as well after we make our own meals
Mhm.
from scratch. You don't feel sluggish.
No, you actually feel good. You sit down, you're like, I actually feel really good right now.
Yeah, and it actually
Yeah.
gives you energy.
Mhm.
You actually feel more energized after eating when you
Mhm.
do that.
It's been a challenge though too.
Yes.
Like I said, I've gone through my share of, wanting to have the old stuff, and I would say another challenge that I realized was going out. When you go to a restaurant and then trying to live clean, it's like, what on the menu can I eat that isn't gonna make me feel like crap? That isn't gonna set me back?
I'll say in the beginning, that's more of a challenge because when you go to eating so clean and then you do eat out or you
Mhm.
do, like for me, like with sugar, my first break after it was like 6 months, I had a muffin.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a muffin. I caved. I'm like, I have to have sugar. I didn't feel too good. It actually made me a little sick to my stomach. So after a while, it's like I don't believe in totally cutting things out 100%. Now, you got to incorporate it back, but you need to be able to have that balance.
Right.
Mhm.
So by cutting it out for a year or 6 months, you're teaching yourself balance. You're letting your body learn to live without it.
Mm.
Yeah,
And that's what you need to do.
Yeah, I definitely want to point that out. Like having a balance is like really key. And at first, like I feel like that's even more key because it's really hard at first to like quit, something like either sugar or, whatever you like eating that is like unhealthy for you. It's like going to be hard to quit because you're so used to eating that, and cutting that out like immediately, like that's not always going to work for everybody,
Mhm.
right? It has to take, discipline and balance. So, after a while, you can, eat a little bit more of whatever, but it's like you have to be like controlled with it, like especially with me, like I like eating a lot. Like, at 17, it's like, dude, I like
Mhm.
every 17-year-old eats
Yeah.
a lot. And so it's definitely hard for me to like, not eat like, that burger or, those cookies or
Mhm.
brownies, whatever it be. And if I do, it's like I have to think about like, maybe like how is this going to affect me, and usually like to point out what my mom was saying, it's like it does tire you like a lot, and like, you feel sick or you like cough up acid, like it's not, helping you out, and it's like bad for your system. So I don't know, just like it's key to have a balanced, meals, and like, try to find even healthy meals that you like so you can like replace those meals with like the meals that are unhealthy that you like. So it's just balance and,
Mhm.
discipline and trying to find foods that you like. And yeah.
Well, one thing you said, the coughing up acid.
Yeah.
I had horrible acid reflux, and I had forever,
Awful.
at least 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And since going in this direction and changing our diet, I've maybe had one partial acid reflux issue in the middle of the
Mhm.
night.
I would say once.
Yeah, in the last almost 2.5
Yeah.
years.
I mean, it got so bad to the point for him that he would cut out certain foods at a certain time of the night
Mm-hmm.
because he was having acid reflux. I would say 5 times a week.
It was a lot. It was quite a bit.
It was getting quite a bit. So by changing our diets and by drinking water, we drink water a lot now.
Mm-hmm.
Also before this, just to say this as well, I never drink water before this. Never. Just straight water. Never did.
Yeah, that's
Never did, never have. I was
Mhm.
the sweeteners you put in your water, or I drink lemonade, chocolate milk. I didn't drink milk either.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't. I was never a milk person, not even as a kid, and I found out that I like ice cold water.
Right.
I don't like room temperature water. I don't like cold water. I like it ice cold to the point it's almost frozen,
Right.
which then helped me drink more water. So I have a bottle specifically that I can keep my water super cold all day.
Mm-hmm.
But I also knew from stuff I was listening to, of same thing why we cut out sugar, is water it neutralizes the acid in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And I know David wasn't drinking water either.
Not really. I mean, on hot summer days, my job, I work outside, and I would drink water more in the summer, virtually none,
Mhm.
spring, winter, and fall, and all that stuff. But just basically a little bit in the summer, just because I needed to stay somewhat hydrated. So I know you have to drink water when it's 90, 95, 100 degrees out.
Right.
And that was about the only time I ever really did. But yeah, so getting back to the acid reflux, I haven't really had issues since we've been on this diet, since I cut out sugar, since I started drinking water, started eating cleaner. Basically, bottom line is everything that we're taking in that's commercially available, that's easy, that tastes good, that's convenient, is toxifying your body. And that's kind of what we discovered. And it causes all kinds of issues that we can get into later. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like taking in poison, and that's really what you're doing, is you're kind of poisoning yourself. And it was a real eye opener. You told me about some guy that was struggling with diabetes, Alzheimer's, or whatever it was,
Mhm.
and they basically were just saying, well, he's whatever age, 70, 80, and he's gonna die. I mean, there's nothing we can do for him. The doctors just wrote him off.
Yep.
He's senile, he's gone, he's checked out. There's nothing left.
Yep.
And somehow, some way, he ended up getting in touch with somebody that put him on a restrictive sugar diet and some other things.
Mhm.
And it was within a shorter period of time,
It's about a year.
yeah, that he all of a sudden was coming back.
Yep.
And for me, that was kind of an eye opener. It's like, what am I doing to myself? I mean, I'm at that point, at the time I was 45, that, what am I doing? I'm getting older now, and I've probably should start taking things a little more seriously. I'm not Superman, I'm not bulletproof anymore. And for me, it was a huge opportunity to really look at what am I doing and what can I change? Is it too late? And I realized, no, it's not too late. It's really never too late until you're dead.
Yeah.
But that was, for me, what really woke me up. Besides some of the things I was struggling with and was unhappy with, it's like, how do we go about this now?
Mm-hmm.
So, definitely, we've all lost weight.
Yeah.
So for the first year, I think I probably dropped at least 30 pounds.
At
Just
least.
simply by cutting out sugar. I did nothing more than cutting out sugar.
Yeah.
And, started dropping the weight. It wasn't a rapid weight loss, but it was a consistent weight loss.
Yeah.
Through that first year. I wouldn't say I felt great, but I felt much, much better. Mentally, after a couple months, everything got sharper. My brain started clicking. I was having a hard time forming sentences. I mean, even doing this right now, trying to think on my feet, I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I was always really sharp, really quick. And like I said, it was a noticeable slowdown.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, we've all, you were already losing weight anyways. You dropped a bunch of weight too
Mm-hmm.
when we started this, probably, 20 pounds?
I lost 25.
25.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just strictly from changing diet.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also started incorporating some workouts, like you were mentioning
Yeah.
earlier.
A little bit of workouts at
All
home.
at home, yeah.
Yeah, we had. I only had 5-pound weights at the
Mhm.
time. Well, 1 pound and 5 pounds. I worked out for like half an hour. Did some sit-ups. Did some squats. Little arm curls, stuff like that. Just little simple things. I did a couple workout videos that I found on YouTube. Nothing strenuous. Nothing that pushed my body
Right.
like I do now. And it definitely helped. Yeah, and I lost about 25 pounds
Mm-hmm.
in a year.
Yeah, and you started getting more fit. I mean, I noticed
Mhm.
that just even from the limited things you were doing at home.
Yeah.
There you were seeing some results,
Yes.
and it was starting to pay off.
Yep.
Now, me, I had not been working out.
No.
Um,
That took a while.
yeah, I've only been working out. I think we're 6 months, 7 months now,
Yeah.
somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a little backstory on me. So in November of 2020, I had a stroke. I had a hemorrhagic stroke and ended up in the hospital for quite a while, paralyzed on the left side. And, I was able to sort of walk out. I mean, I had to relearn to walk and everything. But I left the hospital on my own power and refused to give up. And so for me, it was, I need to figure out, ways that I really, and this is after living, eating clean. My body still, I had put myself through so much for so many years that I was kind of a ticking time bomb with my blood pressure. And that's what caused the stroke, was high blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of stress and high blood pressure. So after that, once I started regaining muscle control and everything, it's like I need to start figuring out a way that I can get my body in much better shape. I mean, it's not, unless I take some positive action with it and actually make some changes, age is not going to be my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize that. So that's been a year and 4 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I made a full recovery from it. So about 6 months after my stroke, you finally convinced me to actually go to the gym.
Yes.
And
It took a lot of convincing.
yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of time. That was my thing.
Yeah.
And so for me to dedicate the time to it was tough.
And that's a lot of people's reasons. They're like, I don't have time. I don't have time. And you got to make the time.
Mm-hmm.
It is hard.
Mhm.
David, he works 5 days a week. We're really busy at home. It's hard. It's like, when do you go to the gym?
Right.
It's like whether you have to wake up at 5 in the morning or you work out at night. It's
Mhm.
like you figure it out. You figure out how to maximize your workouts. So you're not
Right.
at the gym for 2-3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you go to the gym 2 days a week, or if you just go a couple days on the weekend, doing something.
Right. So you went from working out at home,
Mm-hmm.
and you finally got a membership at an actual gym.
Yes.
And you went with our daughter for a little bit, and then you started taking Gabe
Yes.
because he really wanted to actually get back to real weights and not just
Yeah.
pull-up bars at home or whatever limited stuff you can do here.
Mm-hmm.
And that was before I started going.
Yes.
So you took him, and I know you were pushing her quite a bit more than what she was doing here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess like talking about like the at-home workouts, like yeah, like I mean, I was getting it done, I guess, like sort of like with that home workouts, like I was like trying to do my best, especially like with pull-ups and push-ups. Like I guess that's like the only way I could do to like I guess increase strength, because at that point like the weights I had were just not heavy enough. And once my mom got a gym membership, I remember the day that she said she got one, because I was like super stoked, because I was like, dude, this is like my day
Mm-hmm.
to like go
Yeah.
to the gym and like actually like start being like more serious about it and like getting real workouts in. Still, I'm not saying you can't get a real workout in at home, because you definitely can. But yeah, she started going with her daughter. And eventually my mom took me or whatever, and that was great, honestly. Like I was really stoked, like,
Mhm.
going there. I was like trying out everything, like seeing like the machines and like because I've seen all these machines and everything in like a video, but it's completely different when it's like in person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that's when I guess like things really started taking off is like when I went to the gym because I could like use heavier weight in a efficient time, especially because they're just like right there. You can like change the weight like almost immediately instead of like at home. It's a lot more complicated basically.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was great. So
Right.
Mhm.
And you noticed within the first 30 days
30 days.
how much more effective
Yes.
it was going to the gym and being pushed.
Yeah. I mean, not to get super into it. Before I started working out with Gabe at the gym, I wasn't doing. I would say I was kind of not putting in full effort, but I didn't really know. I
Mhm.
knew Gabe knew a lot of information. He was very passionate about fitness, knew a lot. He helped me out with a lot of form issues and stuff at home. And so taking him, I knew he would be able to help me.
Right.
But I wasn't doing sets. I was only doing one set of like 15, 10 reps.
Mhm.
And then I'd move on to something else. Within the first month, I went with Gabe, I believe, to the gym for a month.
Right.
And within that month, I saw more gains
Mhm.
muscle-wise than I had in probably 6 or 8 months
Right.
in that first month.
Mm-hmm. And that's just by having the actual equipment, being able to have proper form.
Yeah, more structure
and
to your workout.
Yeah, and understanding more of a workout structure versus just kind of your at home, sweating to the oldies type stuff you watch on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I joined shortly after.
Yeah.
I started going, and then for me, I mean, obviously I'm in much better shape now than I was back then. And, but I'm still in the beginning stages of building and growing and being healthier and stronger. I have obviously with my age and past work experience, I have joint issues that I struggle with all the time. I have bad elbows and shoulders and knees. All three of those things are kind of important when you're working out.
Yeah.
And so I'm limited on the things that I can do. I can't do a lot of free weights because of my elbows. I can't hold weight. It kills me. Muscles are way stronger, but the pain in my joints, at times makes it unbearable. So
Yeah.
I'm limited to cables and things that I'm not gripping.
Yeah.
So as long as I don't have to squeeze my hands really hard, to hold something, it's not as bad.
Yeah.
But we all three, do have things that we do struggle with. Gabe has hip issues. You're starting to develop some elbow issues as well, maybe.
Yeah. Yes.
And, and those are all things you just learn to work around. And we can get into that later as well. But yeah, I've noticed pretty good gains. I mean, I think when I started, in my head, 6 months I'll be in great shape. And I probably was living in a little disillusion that was possible.
Fitness,
So,
yeah. Fitness
so-
takes patience.
yeah, and I'd worked out, several times, when I was much younger. I had a personal trainer for quite a while. And I remember a lot bigger gains in a shorter period of time, but that was also a long time ago. And maybe I just don't remember fully what the gains really were.
Mm-hmm.
And just in my head I thought that, giving myself 6 months, I'll push myself real hard for 6 months at the gym and I'll be in great shape, I'll be all buff and big, and it's not the case. I mean, it's not reality, and and I'm okay with that. But I am seeing noticeable changes and gains. So for me, yeah, going to the gym, coupled with eating cleaner and eating healthier, is definitely paying off. I mean, I do feel better now than I did, say, 15 years ago. Energy wise, joint wise, I'm not as sore and stiff as I was, say 10 years ago. So
Mhm.
all those things are definitely starting to pay off. I mean, it's
Mhm.
been tough. It has not been easy.
No.
But I'm glad that we all started this journey together.
Yes.
Being healthier and happier. So let's go over overall goals, where we want to go. What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? So Mandy, what are your health and fitness goals?
Like going from here?
Yeah, from basically, well, even, I mean, just in general.
I would say my goal right now is to gain muscle.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of definition already. I'm just looking to get bigger, I guess, more
Mhm.
stronger, being able to lift heavier weights. I've been increasing, I would say, dramatically over the last 3-4 months.
Mm-hmm.
I have a long way to go with bench. I want to start incorporating more ab work. I don't have the most toned abs. I don't focus on those as much because
Right.
you use your abs so much, which we can get into a lot of that more later in future episodes. But so far, that's kind of my goal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty happy with what I'm eating. I'm happy with my energy levels. I'm happy with, I mean, if I stop now, if I didn't gain any more from this point on, I'd be happy.
Mm-hmm.
I just have further goals that I would like to reach.
All right. Okay. Gabe, what about you?
I guess like going back before this kind of happened, it was mainly just like as simple as just I want to do more push-ups like at the very beginning, and I basically like accomplished those, and I kept setting higher bars for more push-ups or whatever. And then once I got the pull-up bar, it's like how many pull-ups can I do now, and then in this certain amount of time how many pull-ups can I do then. And I kept just pushing the mark a little bit, not making super unrealistic goals, but making goals that I can accomplish. And eventually, when I started going to the gym, like I guess like now like my goals would be sort of like the same thing with like strength and especially like weight gain. Because like a couple years back, as I said, I was like super skinny and I weighed not that much.
Right.
And so now I weigh a lot more, but I still want to weigh, like 10, 20 more pounds. And that's
And that's with muscle.
yeah, with muscle, not,
Yeah.
fat or whatever. Yeah, with muscle. And yeah, I definitely want to increase, like my bench, squat, and like deadlift, and especially with my hips I have to work around squat, but I can talk about that later. But yeah, just those like compound movements I want to increase more, in strength and stuff like that, and lift more weight, and that would be amazing. And then also just getting more toned, because I do care about I guess like sort of like my physique, I guess, wise, because that's just I like that look.
Mm-hmm.
And just building my endurance as well, especially since summer's coming up, like running and stuff like that. I definitely want to
Yes.
incorporate that and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So yeah, I would say those are like my goals and stuff like that, and hopes.
It's definitely a good thing to shoot for. So I guess that's up to me now.
Yeah, what are your goals,
My
David?
goals. I want to get in better shape. I mean, I still feel like I probably have 10 pounds of extra body fat that I'd like to get rid of. I want to be bigger, as far as muscles, more definition, stronger overall. If I can build up, this is my feeling on it, if I can build up my muscles to help support my joint issues,
Mhm.
that will make everyday life a lot better for me. I'm not getting any younger, so if I don't do it now, that my feeling is I won't ever get there. So I want to be stronger, work around some of my joint issues, and just live a better quality life. I mean, so it's not just the working out bodybuilding part of it. It's just eating healthier, living healthier, being healthier, staying mentally sharp, focused, good positive attitude. One thing none of us actually said in the beginning, I will say that eating that stuff, we were all crabby and cranky all the time. It's like
Oh,
you're
yeah.
always on edge.
Don't even get me started.
Yeah. So, it's all part of this. It's like you're balancing your mind and your body.
Mm-hmm.
And what you take in, and what you do help support all those things. So for me, I just want to be healthier and happier.
Yes.
And if I can get stronger and a little bigger, be in better shape, maybe not look my age as much as I was fearing at that point. Try to regain a little bit of youth. I mean, everybody wants that. So
Yeah.
those are my goals, I guess. And they're changing. it's never like I have one set goal and I'm
Mhm.
always going to
Mhm.
stick with
Yeah.
that. And I may get to a point that I'm like, okay, I don't want to grow. I just want to be in, just a little more tone or whatever.
Yeah.
So my goals, will change as time goes on.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, I think we're going to call it with that. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. We do have a lot more that we're going to bring to you. We're going to try to do regular episodes with this kind of stuff, and we'll break down more specifics. I mean, this episode, we just wanted to kind of introduce ourselves and we'll let you get to know us a little bit, and some of our backstory. But we can go into specific things that we've learned in what we've worked with, throughout each episode. So you definitely want to make sure you follow us. You can follow us on social media. For Mandy, it is honestfitlife_Mandy, and for me, it is honestfitlife_David on Instagram, or you can visit our website at honestfitlife.com. Be sure to consult your doctor or healthcare provider before beginning any weight loss or fitness training program. This has been a Road One Media production. All rights are reserved.